solution disrupting jobs or driving profitability in hospitality, which should surely be disrupting jobs and driving profitability in hospitality. Please welcome Harald Hafner.
Well, good morning to everybody. It's great that you're still here. This is the session before the coffee break, so stay with us. It's exciting, it is innovative. We are talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and by that we have raised the question, is it disrupting jobs or driving profitability? And or, I'm about to say. Please welcome our panelists for this session. Gentlemen, would you please come on stage? What we would like to do this morning with this 40-minute session, we would like to give you a little bit of insight into the developments of AI in the hospitality industry. The first question is it disrupting jobs? And in preparation for this session, I was actually going through literature, and one of the articles that is mostly featured and referred to is the future of employment. How susceptible are jobs to computerization? And the two gentlemen, Fry and Osborne, who developed this study, in their article, they looked at 702 different professions in the United States. In the meantime, the study has been repeated throughout Europe, and they found out that 47% of the jobs are disappearing or are being heavily impacted. Now, I took a look at the end of the article. There's the list of the 702 jobs, and I took a look, of course, at the hospitality industry on a scale from 0 to 100, 0 being not affected, 100 being, totally affected by computerization and digitalization. We have a score of 97 for hosts and hostesses. We have a score of 96, would you believe it, for chefs in restaurants. We have a score of 94 for hotel, motel, and resort desks. So, yes, it is going to disrupt jobs. Taking a look at the development of artificial intelligence in Europe, I considered a couple of studies. This is not representative. This is rather informing you or giving you a feeling of where do we stand with the AI implementation in Europe. About 15% are currently using AI. Of course, there's differences between countries and areas, but overall, 15% are using AI. Another 20% are planning to implement AI. And here comes the reason why I think it's a great opportunity, AI. 50% to 55% of the respondents do not use AI and do not plan AI. And the remainder, up to 100, has never heard of AI. So, we do have quite a challenging environment, and the question was, onto the big field of AI. It's quite diverse and it's full of applications. What shall we focus on in this discussion? And we found out that the most relevant subjects are operational efficiency, where we can apply and use AI, marketing and revenue enhancement, of course, that's always been a very, very important and key application. guest experience. This morning I saw a customer experience a seminar right next door, and of course cost reduction. And this is what we want to talk about today and this morning in the next couple of minutes. But before we go there, let me introduce the panel. Next to me is Adojaan, a founder and CEO of YANU Robotics. I was able to experience a bar, not your bar, YANU, at a fair. It's a fully robotized, automized bar, and it's magic. You know, at that fair, it had the longest queues, particularly kids who would want to experience it. Then we have Edoardo Colombo from Turismi.AI, an Italian think tank, if I may say so, on artificial intelligence. Very pleased to have Felix amongst us, Felix Undeutsch, a co-founder of hivr, and he'll explain more about it. Then we have Gilles Granger. Thank you, Gilles, for being here. Senior Vice President and Business Development for EMEA at The Edge. And finally, Jonathan, the hospitality man on the panel. Very happy that we have you here. Jonathan is the Senior Vice President of IT and Chief Technical Officer at the Radisson Hotel Group. And yesterday when we met, he had told me that for the past 10 years he's focused on data and data analytics, which is, of course, the sourcing power, the gasoline for our AI endeavors. Gentlemen, let me just ask you the question that we have in the title of our discussion first, and please give me a real brief response on it. Does AI disrupt the jobs or drive profitability? Now, we know it does both, but give me your priorities. Can I start with you, Alan?
Yeah, sure. Hello. I think we're on the verge of a huge technical revolution. I think it's fourth or fifth or something. But like the horses used to lose their jobs, I think a lot of people will lose their jobs. And at the same time, there's a lot of people missing from the industry. I read some survey in US, there's 1.2 million service people missing, especially after the COVID when people were let go. And my background is 15 years in bartending, restaurants and nightclubs. The problem usually is the workforce. So yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Gilles?
Well, maybe you know what we do at the Edge. We are a technology provider, and our objective is to increase the revenues of the hotels. So in order to do that, we use a set of technologies, and AI is part of them. So yes, it will disrupt. Of course, I mean, hoteliers need to embrace it. There is no question about it. Now, is it going to destroy jobs? No, it's going to basically help each and every person to grow revenue and to focus on those actions that will deliver value to guests. This is what we need to focus on. Let's not be scared. Yes, it will change. Yes, there will be some changes in the industry, but still it will help us focus on doing the right things for the guests and for the sake of having more revenue.
Perfect, thank you, Gilles. Edoardo, what do you think?
I fully agree with Gilles. I think that every evolution changes something. A washing machine has changed the jobs in the kitchen, and so this will change. This will give us a lot of collaborators, digital collaborators, so we will have more time to do things, and every collaborator will has a specific task, so he will solve our problems, and so we will have more time, and this probably will be a freed up economy. So for tourism is a big, huge occasion, because also for workforce we will have less workforce. This means that we will have more free time to do vacation, to do tourism.
Thank you. How about you, Jonathan? What do you think?
I give you a slightly different perspective. I think it's, if I'm looking back in the past 70 years, how computing and human interaction evolved, I think we always see a big change happening when the pressure of the volume of the tasks or the complexity is bringing the human to a point where they need support, they need help. So I think the key word here I want to bring on the table is augmenting. So increasing the capacity of the human to perform tasks, right? And I think this is what is going to do. It's not destroying jobs, it's going to definitely change the way that we are operating and we are going to work. And definitely will bring more revenue and more opportunities. We will probably discuss more later.
Yeah, very important. Thank you. Felix.
Yeah, let me offer a more dramatic viewpoint on that. So I absolutely think that we are on the verge of a dramatic revolution, and I don't think it's only touching the hospitality, it will touch everything we know and are aware of. Oftentimes you hear on the internet like, AI won't take your job, people using AI will take your job. I think it's total BS, to be perfectly honest. AI will absolutely take your job. Everyone sitting in front of a computer, not adding any value to the customer itself, but just doing work for work. Data analysis, data entry, analytics, marketing, this will be gone. And short term, this will disrupt the job market, it will drive profitability, but long term, new jobs, new professions will be created. That's how I see it.
Okay, guys. Are you feeling comfortable in here? Will you have a job tomorrow? Yeah. Maybe not. Get trained, advance, learn new things. Thank you, Jonathan. You've just mentioned something important when you mentioned the term augmentation. Obviously, artificial intelligence has two target segments, if you like, automation and augmentation, and both are being important assets. How to run a bar fully automated, personalized, and enhanced as far as customer experience is concerned is the subject of YANU, Robotics. Alan, how do AI-driven robots like YANU enhance the personalized guest experience in hospitality venues? And what kind of challenges did you meet when implementing your products in a traditional hospitality environment?
Well, yes, the clients actually divide into two mostly. Europeans who want the numbers and the ROI and want to see the results. And then Americans and the Arab world that want the attraction and entertainment, right? And I also divide these into two. So there are venues who need fast service and there are venues who have long cycles, and the hotels obviously are the long cycles. And that's where, yeah, these solutions come into play. Actually, you can give a better ordering process, multilingual, there's no errors. Then there is the speed of service and the availability 24/7. You make it faster. There's no, the drinks are kind of consistent every time. Then a lot of my clients, actually yesterday I got it twice, say that, but I want to talk to the bartender. That in a hotel, actually it is like that, but in many venues nobody wants to talk to the bartender, especially the bartenders, right? So that's where the speed comes into play and the consistency. And we are right now building a voice bot to our robot, so it's not just a vending machine, but you can hold a conversation or maybe even talk about philosophy at one point. So yeah, the conversational aspect is very important there. And then, there's several other things that robots can offer that the people can't. You know, they always the presence there and availability, yeah, mostly.
Yeah, thank you very much. Conversational value, exciting. I wish you well in developing it.
Yeah, and of course, what I forgot to say, the entertainment value.
Yes.
And the event marketing, the advertising, the bringing the social media presence. So people love it. People love to play with it.
Yes, yes, I can see that, and I was able to experience it. We've heard a lot today, this morning already, about sustainable tourism and the fact that the green travelers have doubled in the past 2 years. I was amazed. This is good news. Edoardo, how can AI-driven predictive analytics transform targeted marketing strategies in the tourism sector, and what kind of role can AI play to enhance customer retention?
I think that the big revolution is about data. We used to analyze data as something of the past, and in the future, and now data are usable in real time. This is the huge change, I think. And in real time, you can understand maybe something happening, for instance, with the reviews. We can read the reviews and understand something that is going bad or something that is going well. And so act immediately. So doing some personalization to offer some better services or some ancillary services, or maybe understand that in the room there is someone that is or complaining or saying it's a very quiet room. So understand that in the next time to offer a quiet room to this customer, or maybe to offer some personalization in kind of some services that he will like to live. And so this kind of personalization in terms of also cultural services, he was talking about the cultural, a chatbot cannot talk in the same way to everybody. He will have to understand if there is an Arab or a Chinese or an American, because American want to solve the problem, and maybe a Mexican want to just talk about it, or an Italian talk about it. And so this means that it will be important to understand how, in terms of cultural services, can you be personalized to do a fidelization also.
What I find fascinating is the learning processes machines undergo in coming up with new and even more personalized solutions, and of course a better experience for the customer, isn't it?
It is very important to do the right question. I used to say that we don't need any more task forces, but ask forces, because if we do the right question, we can get the solution and get some suggestion.
Yes.
And this is very important for giving better services.
Yes.
And education also. Education will be very important, because we will have, it's the first time that students, we will have the same instrument as teachers. And so we need to educate, to learn all together in a different way, and to personalize also the way to educate, to teach.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this is one of the key challenges, education, in the view of AI for the future. I myself am an educator, I might say, and the other day they asked me what kind of languages they should add, because we in tourism, we speak German, we speak French, we speak Italian, we speak English, of course. And then I said, how about a programming language to be added to it? So you could say, I don't know, Python, for example, could be a language that our students should learn, but that's going to take us even longer. Felix, we've just been talking about robotics and predictive analytics. You are involved in self-service technologies as such. You have a platform for group bookings. Tell us more about it, and tell us what the challenges are for you to implement those at Hospitality Enterprises.
Yeah. So maybe quickly taking a step back, if you look at travel and hospitality, like 1/3 of room nights in hotels is actually driven by meetings, groups, events, like here today, like 1/3. The other segments are corporate travel and leisure travel. But 1/3 is driven by groups. And the biggest revolution and innovation in groups and meetings in the last 20, 25 years was the email. But pretty much everything in the back office and the operational office, reservation teams in hotels in regards to meetings and groups, the reservation desks, the convention sales teams is manual. It's just pushing stuff from A to B to C, from Outlook to a PMS to a sales and catering system. So there is no way or no mature way to book actually space, group accommodation online. So you can book pretty much anything online, a hotel, room, flight, car, anything, but you cannot book a conference and a meeting room and group accommodation online. It's not possible. And what we are doing is we are ultimately automating all the back office operational activities, everything in regards to data entry, everything in regards to analyzing emails, putting it in S&C, sales and catering system. We do have a phone AI which you can call up and you can ask questions. Hey, are you available with, I don't know, 400 people on the 29th of January? And you can ask like, hey, what are you recommending as a seating layout? So you will get all of that fully automated, which ultimately takes off repetitive, low-value tasks from the reservation teams so they can focus on consulting, on creating experiences. And one thing I'd like to stress there is oftentimes when we think about digitization, operational efficiencies, we are thinking about making things faster and cutting costs. But the reality is that this is, in the meetings and group space, is a massive revenue driver. Reason for that is that in the meetings and group space, we are operating on a request for proposal process. So hotels are sending out proposals. The faster you send out a proposal, and today you usually would receive a proposal after 48, 96, whatever hours, sometimes never. 70% is actually never getting a proposal. The faster you give a proposal as a hotel, the higher your chances of converting that, and you drive revenue. So if you reply as a first hotel or second, you convert a proposal at around 20%. If you reply at 5th, 6th, 7th, you convert at 4, 5%. And that is really the lever here. And to your question, that's also the challenge within the hotels we are working with to really understand that and embrace that. And for the reservation teams to not feel afraid, but to really see it as an opportunity. So it's really not about technology. Technology is easy. What is the problem is really the challenge to bring people along and to bring them on the journey. That's the biggest challenge we are facing here.
Thank you, Felix. Just something very important was mentioned here, which I heard earlier. It's the cooperation between the AI, between the machine and the human being that makes it so successful. It's not measuring whether AI is better than you or you are better than the AI. One thing is for sure, you and the AI beat everything, right, if you cooperate properly. This takes me to Gilles. Gilles generates revenues and in running AI-supported campaigns. And how does D-Edge service its clients with those AI-driven campaign management tools, if I may say so?
Well, what we do and what we like doing at D-Edge is doing experiments. So we trust figures, we trust data, that's what we do as a technology company. So one of the targets that we have for our clients is to make direct business. I think any hotelier in the room, some of our clients are there, they want to make more direct business. This is what they want. So in average in Europe, it's 29.5% direct business. And some of our clients in Austria go up to 41%. But in order to achieve this, you need to run advertising campaigns. And to run those campaigns, we have our own tools, our own team. We even pay for the advertising. So it's our own money that we invest. And we basically pay for the hotel until the guest comes in. In order to do that, we need to buy a lot of advertising. So what we did is in terms of experiments, and it's a study that you've seen the QR code before, you can download, is basically we did 3 experiments. The first one was, let's just leave AI do all the work and see how it goes. So we did it with our own money, of course, not the hotel's money. And the result was basically 17% more direct bookings. Wow, that's great. So if we leave AI doing it, it's going to be 17% more direct business. Wow, that's great. But eventually we looked at the cost, and the return on investment was minus 34%. Oops. Why so? It's because the AI is Google AI. So basically, if you leave an AI, an outside AI, doing the job for you, it will do the job for its creator, Google, in that essence. And so eventually it was leading to spending a lot of money, so 34% more, and getting more bookings, but if you do the math, it's not good. So then we did a second experiment. We said, okay, let's leave AI do it, but have our team validate what's going on. And so we did less bookings, basically just 15% instead of 17%, but the return on investment was 7.5%. So if you leave an AI doing things and you control it, then you lead to some hints, some ways that you wouldn't have done, and it's much more, it's much better than if you do it just by yourself. So we did a third experiment. So we said, okay, so we know AI by itself is good, but AI with plus a human is going to be good. Let's take it one step further. So we did AI with a human and with social. Because you know AI on Meta, Facebook, is really at the core of what they do. So we invested money, our own money once again, on social, normal, and AI-based advertising. And the result was even better. So basically, if you combine those three, you'll have all the figures here, but if you combine those three, you find out that you can make a lot more direct business, because at the end of the day, technology for the sake of technology is just useless. But technology in the pursuit of making more revenues direct, is exactly what we all want. So AI does work. It does work and help the human, all teams, by the way, and it does provide a lot of benefits, and it even creates ways of generating business that you wouldn't have thought about. So it's really creative. It's much more creative when you combine it with the humans.
Thank you, Gilles. Fascinating, isn't it? We need to combine AI with human intellect plus the social intellect, so to speak, to achieve outstanding and great results. Maybe you saw it. We had a QR code featured on the screen. We will do that afterwards again, so please just get the Gilles' presentation on the 3 experiments that is just outlined to get a better insight. Last but not least, it all needs to be applied, Jonathan, right? It needs to come into your hotels. It needs to, people need to be trained and guided through the process. One of the major requirements and assets of AI is data. I'm sure you know. The more, the better, right? Jonathan, how has Radisson mastered the data challenge, so to speak, of diversified data, of huge volumes and a high velocity, permanently changing? And what advice could you give us?
Yeah, sure. I think the challenges are basically 3 challenges, right? So the first one is the volume of data. It's very important that you know, we as a hotel company, but in general every business is collecting systematically all the data points that it requires in order to drive decisions. So the first element is collecting systematically all the data points. In this case, automation is very, very fundamental, like also Felix mentioned, right? So automation of collection of the data, of cleaning of the data, this is the second challenge, is important because then this is the data that will be fed into AI systems. Yeah? And AI, we might argue, right? So but the way that I see AI is a brain, right? So it's a brain, and automation are the hands, if you want, right? So it's important to feed the brain with a good quality of data in order to get good outcomes out of the decision that the AI can augment every day. And then you need automation in order to automate all the different steps in order to save the time and recover on the investments that you've made. So this is the first part. The second part, quality. Let me expand a bit around that. So data quality in hotel industries, and I haven't worked in hotel industry for many years. Before that, I was working in logistics. I have to say it was way more structured in the way that it was collecting and generating the data, right? But so hotel industry, the data is spread all around. The data is the quality of the data. It's not a heavily regulated industry, so it's always a challenge, right? The way that we collect, the way that we find, identify the B2B, so our vendors, the B2C, our guests, even worse, right? So we are competing with industry even in very close to our sectors, like the transport industry, where when you book a ticket, yeah, and you made a small mistake on your name, you have to pay a fee in order to fix it, right? And this is definitely not the case. And this is why, for example, with Felix, we are collaborating in several different areas. When you receive an email with the names or the list of the names, and you need to understand where the venue is and what is the booking date, and the structure of the mail is very poor. The first thing you need to do is restructuring this information, generating quality data that then you can store and use. So quality of the data, volume of the data, and velocity of the data you mentioned, right? So we are not looking anymore, in the report to understand what happened before. We are looking in the future, try to take some decisions around the data that we see every day. So if in the morning the data are not completed, and as a revenue manager, I need to take some decision in terms of the pricing of the hotel, that's a problem, even if it's only one property, right, that is missing. So a lot we did in terms of making sure that all our data were always completed. Yeah? And then master data is at the base of that, right? So if you want to understand your customer, you need to understand your customer. You need to first to identify your customer. If you want to understand your vendors and you want to aggregate the revenue in all the different regions, of course, you need to make sure that your hierarchy of the vendors or the companies are correctly set up. And only in this way, then you can apply a number of different solutions that help you to augment and to facilitate a lot of different tasks that we are using. So at Radisson, we focus for the past 5 years really in a very important program. We call it Data Analytics Office, right? And this is to build our capabilities together with the business and our master data program. Yeah.
I love it, Jonathan. AI gets smart with data, and that's the only way you would be able to augment and to get better and to improve.
You might argue that AI without the data that are your data is just a parrot, right? It's just repeating what it's learned in the general environment. So the level of quality of the outcome depends really on what you are feeding in at the last point.
All right, gentlemen, you get 1 minute each. Sorry, take a look into the future. What future AI innovations, and I turn to Felix, do you foresee having the most significant impact on the hospitality industry?
Agentic AI. So last year you heard a lot about generative AI, which was around large language models generating text or generating text-based output. Now we are seeing more and more of so-called AI agents across modalities, text, phone, executing tasks.
Okay.
So going forward, as an example, if you want to figure out availability for your next meeting next week, you will quickly speak into microphone, say, listen, I need a meeting next week, figure out available slots, do it. You will not need an assistant, you will not need a team organizing anything, you will just talk to an AI and it will combine different other agents, an agent to check availability, an agent to check your address book, an agent to book your flight, whatever, will just do that. And it will rapidly accelerate everything we do. So that's my guess. And I think it's not like a massive stretch I'm making here. Agentic AI is not like 5 years away. It's around the corner.
Okay. Yeah. That's what we sometimes underestimate, the speed with which development
If you look at the
moves
last
along.
2 years, you really see like the exponentiality of improvement and of growth. It's insane.
Yes,
And if you apply that for the next 5 years, I mean, you get a rough idea where we are landing.
Jonathan, what would your suggestion for the future be?
Well, you stole my point, but but I think all of us. So I will bring on the table another disrupting technology. I think AI is about the content management.
Yes.
Yeah? I think content is the other space where it's unbelievable what generative AI, because this is a very specific field of AI, is doing, right? So 50% of people is already running, in the doubt if content that it sees is true or is not true.
Okay.
And I think this is very important, right? So it's is where I believe the human touch and the human importance, relationship importance is fundamental, that we save it, right? So we make sure that the content that we are generating is authentic on one side, yeah, and then we use generative AI in order to augment this content, right? So in order to translate to hundreds of different languages, for example, in order to automate the way that we distribute the content and so on. But the human touch and the way that we only human can generate a really new content is very important. But AI will transform definitely that.
Humans and content still is king. Edoardo.
First of all, I would ask to Donald Trump to change the name from artificial intelligence to augmented intelligence. This is something very important because someone is scared from artificial, and so we think we have used GPS navigator since 20 years, which is a collaborator that tells us what to do, predict which time we will use cars and which path is best. So this is what is important to give people not be scared about this, and this is very important for the future.
Gilles, what's your suggestion?
Well, sorry for my language, but money talks, bullshit walks. Basically, if you take AI and you put it in action and it generates revenue, and you combine it with humans, it just means that this is the future, and you need to embrace it. I had a conversation yesterday with a client. He was saying, yeah, but the booking engine, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, 41% direct.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, you don't like the color. You know what? Don't care. Your people are buying on it, and you are way above anything. So having discussions with human beings sometimes is very frustrating. So sometimes it's good to talk to an artificial intelligence that tells you, hey, this is a figure, and reminds you that it works. So let's listen to it a little bit more.
Yeah, great. Money really talks, right? Alan.
I'll give you a quick example. While I'm fundraising right now for YANU for production, I have extra time. And we have been applying for European grants 7 times. I wasted 50K on that, on the writers. Many months. I've won twice, lost 4 times, or maybe more. So I thought about it must be possible to do it myself with AI. So I created a small company, a couple of programmers, and we are now writing for 3 times less money the applications for EU grants, different grants. So I would say dream big, think about what's your main pain points, and AI can solve this sooner or later.
Thank you, Alan. Well, that brings us to the end of our panel discussion. We had very interesting insights into the different applications and the nature of AI. I want to thank my experts and panelists. Please appreciate them.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a 15-minute coffee break. Please come back in 15 for the next session.